Hey everybody, this is Pastor Chris. I'm coming to you live from Lexington Park Baptist Church. This is PC Studios. It's Tuesday, March 28, 2023. How in the world are you doing? I hope you're blessed and highly favored by God. Good to be here with you this day. Been a busy week already, which is good, right? Busyness is not bad, but a lot going on. But it's good to be with you here on the program today as we begin to talk about the God who does not call us to play it safe. I think sometimes we forget and we get so caught up in things that we forget that God does not call us to play it safe, but actually has us to take some sense of risk, especially in facing fear. So I want to talk to you today. I want to read the scriptures. We're going to go straight to Matthew 14, 22 through 29, and that's where we're going to hang out for the rest of the week. It says, immediately he made his disciples get in a boat, and they went ahead of him to the other side of the sea. When he was dismissed the crowds, after he dismissed the crowds, he went up to the mountaintop there himself to pray well into the night, and he was there alone. Meanwhile, the boat was already some distance from the land and battered by the waves because the wind was against them. Jesus then came towards them walking on the sea very early in the morning. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified, and they cried out, "It is a ghost." And they cried out with fear. But immediately then Jesus spoke to them and said, "Have courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." "Lord, if it is you," Peter said, "command me to come to you on the water." And Jesus said, "Come." And climbing out of the boat, Peter walked on the water, and he came towards Jesus. May God add a blessing to his holy word today. What a powerful text. As we are moving ourselves towards Easter week, as we're moving ourselves towards Palm Sunday this Sunday, and then what we call Holy Week, and then to Easter Sunday. Now, I know our calendar adjusts itself because of the calendar things with the heavens and how things work, whatever. The Passover is, and it's when we celebrate it. So this is the week we're going to celebrate it. So, and when we come into this point, Peter, at this point, the resurrection hasn't happened. The crucifixion hasn't happened. They don't even know what's happening. They're just following Jesus. And here he is on the water. And so I want to do a few things this week. One, I want to delve into this text a little bit. After we realize, and I think I did a good foundational topic on how our society is so overwhelmed with fear and we play it safe. Fear becomes a god with a little g. And safety, or playing it safe, becomes an idol that we use to worship the god of fear. Just think about that for a minute. Our society is oversaturated with fear-mongering, and which it is, just enticing fear to keep people in fear. That fear is a god. It's a little g god. And playing it safe is an idol. But fear-mongering also is an idol. But I also think that we're so driven by safety, which is good. We don't want to take risks for risk's sake, and we don't want to just change just because we can change. We want things to be smart. We want to be safe. We want to be good stewards, right? I think that is part of what God asks us to do too. But I made a list, and some of it's serious. Like obviously, if you have peanut allergies, it's serious, right? But I said, look, we're the most seatbelted, bike helmeted, airbagged, knee pad wearing, private schooled, gluten-free, hand sanitized, peanut avoiding, sunscreen slathering, hyper-insured, and massive medicated and password protected. But yet, despite all those things, by the way, and some of them are legitimate, you wear your helmet when you ride a bike. You should put your safety belt on. If you have a peanut allergy, you need to avoid it, right? It's smart to listen. You got complexion like mine, you need sunscreen, right? Unfortunately, I grew up in a time where there wasn't sunscreen really being promoted, and I now constantly have cancers burned off my face. Just the reality of it is. I have to go to a dermatologist every 6 months because of my fair complexion and the fact that I was sunburned so much as a young child. So totally get it. It's smart, right? But just because we're just so hypersensitive to playing it safe doesn't make us safer. And it doesn't reduce our fears. If anything, I would say it heightens us. We want to be more insured. We want to have more sun. The higher the number, right? We want to avoid every aspect of being around peanuts. And again, if you're going to die from a peanut, I totally get it. We want to wear we have knee pads and elbow pads and all kinds of pads, right? We got helmets. So we have all the safety, but yet we're still afraid. And here's Jesus. They don't have any of this. They're on this boat. It's being tossed to and fro. The wind has come up on them. And they're really, probably their lives were at risk, you all. There was no Coast Guard to come rescue them. But here's Jesus walking on water, and they never seen this before. And here he is. He's like a ghost. And in fact, they cried out. They thought it was a ghost, and they were afraid. And I want us just to stop there. What makes you afraid in the faith? I'm not talking about Freddy Krueger. I'm not talking about real risk things. What really, really causes you to be afraid? Are you afraid to believe? Are you afraid to serve? Are you afraid to be wrong? I don't like being wrong. I don't think you do too either. Maybe you are afraid to serve. Maybe you feel like you're not qualified. Maybe you're afraid to believe. Man, if I really believe that, is that really true? You're afraid to give. You don't know how to give. You're afraid you won't be able to pay your bills off if you give. You're afraid to give 10%. You're afraid to give sacrificially. You're afraid that you might be hurt if you love people. Let me tell you what. I give the church everything I have, and let me tell you what, I have been hurt a lot by people I thought that loved me. I want you to stop there for a minute. If you love, you are vulnerable to be hurt. That is reality. God demonstrated his love for us in this way, Romans 5:8, that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. God was vulnerable when he loved us, and God died to demonstrate his love towards us. So yeah, love can hurt. Love can be risky. Love can be risky. We're afraid to love. We're afraid that we'll be hurt. We're afraid to be rejected. We don't share our faith because we might be rejected. So we play it safe. I'm not going to let people know that I go to church. I'm not going to share Jesus. I'm not going to have my Bible on my desk. I'm not going to try to have a Bible study. I'm not going to tell anybody about Jesus. I'm not going to invite anybody to church. I'm just going to play it safe. Never said Jesus, by the way. And then maybe we're afraid to live. Go live, man. Go enjoy life. The great mandate in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, be fruitful and multiply, go subdue the earth, rule over it. God wants us to enjoy what he created. He created us for that. And we're afraid to live. Today we sit inside and play video games. We're in like a bubble. We don't even go to work now. We telework now. Think about these things that I'm saying. COVID changed things drastically. In a bad way. Technology can be bad. So, are you afraid to die? Maybe you are. I don't like to think of the thought of death. What's it going to be like? Is it going to be painful? I can think of ways I don't want to die, right? And by the way, all of these guys in the boat, they died bad ways. Let's face reality here. None of us wants to be crucified upside down. None of us wants to be speared to death. None of us wants to be stoned. None of us wants to be burned. None of us wants to be placed on an island just to die. We don't sign up for those kind of things, do we? No. But these guys did. Now, they didn't know it at this time, right? But they were afraid. They were afraid in this moment. They were afraid when Jesus was captured in the Garden of Gethsemane. They were afraid. They didn't even go to the cross except for John. They were afraid in the upper room, even after Jesus showed up. But eventually, because when they saw and walked for 40 days on the earth, this risen Lord, they became courageous. They became brave. They became bold. They became faith-driven, and faith overcomes fear. Faith is what overcomes the enemy of fear. And fear is an enemy. Fear is a liar. Fear is a thief. Fear immobilizes us. Fear makes us ineffective. Fear places us in a place where we cannot please God. Let's just deal with that reality. No matter what you think, that is the reality. In the Christianity today, it's cush, it's comfortable. We're on the boat, so to speak, right? And there's Jesus walking. We see the storms of the sea, and we decide, I'm going to stay on this boat. I want my house. I want my I want my fast food restaurants. I want my picket fence. I want my, 2 kids and a dog. I want a good paying job. I want a nice retirement. I want to be able to retire and just play golf and live good life. Prop up my feet, go to the ocean and chill out, get a place down in Florida because I don't want to pay taxes in Maryland. And guess what? And then I just want to die in my... Oh, by the way, I will go to church and be kind of faithful. I just want to sit there. Occasionally I might serve a little bit and I might give a little bit of my money, but 10%, that's a little too much. And by the way, and then when everything's said and done, I just want to die in my sleep. No pain, just die peacefully and then go to heaven. That is kind of like the American Christian gospel desire for many Christians. It's how we live our lives. But that's not what Jesus calls us to, you all. Can we get to that reality? That is not what Jesus called us to. He said, hey, it is I. Don't be afraid. It's me. And, and the exact wordings that he used that we need to see here is have courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. You, believer, right now, you have courage. It is Jesus. Do not be afraid. Do not bow a knee to the God of fear. Do not put up an idol of play it safe in your home or your life. Have courage. Know it's Jesus. And do not be afraid. And so with that, we're going to leave off with fear is overcome by faith. We'll pick up with that tomorrow. And then Thursday, I want to ask you, what is God calling you to? He commanded Peter to get out of that boat. How is he commanding you to get out of your boat? How is he commanding you out of your comfort zone? And then tomorrow, how do we please God? How do we overcome this fear? This fear that immobilizes us. And that's where we pick up with, be courageous. It is I. Do not be afraid. I leave that with you today. Make those words penetrate to your heart and your soul and to your mind. And prepare yourself for what we're going to talk about tomorrow and Thursday. Hey, that's all I got for you. God bless you. Remember these 2 realities. God loves you, and so do I. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.